Hey, in this video, I want to share with you about how to deal with broken expectations, how to deal with them simply, effectively, and most of all, joyfully. Is it possible to be joyful about broken expectations? Let's find out if it is. First, let's take a look at what normally happens when our expectations are not met, when our fantasies are not met. Well, let's take an example. Let's say someone who you really like is coming to stay with you in a couple of weeks. The date is set, you're very excited. All kinds of fantasies and possibilities might run through your mind about what's going to happen between you and this person, what the energy will be like, what kind of things you will do together, how you will greet each other. And all of this, runs through your mind, and you don't, you don't indulge too much, perhaps, and try to keep it cool. Oh, man, that's cool. But, still, these images, these expectations begin to build. The excitement about it begins to build. I wonder how sweet it will be. And the day comes that this person arrives, and the energy between you is completely different. Let's say that this person is not interested in you in the same way that you were in him or her. What happens there? I've had several such experiences, and I can tell you what happens there for me. What's happened in the past is that at first there would be a disappointment, then there would be a kind of denial. Oh, it's not, maybe I'm just not seeing this quite right. And then, after denial, what usually happens is a kind of frustration. You see, oh, it's really like that. Oh, you're really like that. Well, how could you be like that? Perhaps you don't say that to this person, but in your mind you start blaming. You start, attributing fault. Well, maybe I don't like her or him anyway. So there's this kind of energy begins to build, a kind of bitterness, where this person who comes into your life for some purpose, for some opportunity, for some growth, some potential of growth, now becomes a kind of enemy for you, now becomes a kind of opponent, and you start perhaps finding fault with this person. Oh, reasons why I shouldn't like them also. All kinds of things like this, the mind naturally begins to build defenses. And in this defensiveness, distance grows. Your experience that could perhaps be a very pleasant experience, that could perhaps be a very loving experience, even though it didn't meet your expectations, now it can become something that actually severs this relationship. Is that what we really want? Is that truly the experience of the heart? That we would want to cut someone off because they're not acting the way we expect them to act? That's the truth of the mind. But in the heart, we know it is different. The heart is always seeking that oneness, that connection, that unity, that grace, that feeling of, oh, it's wonderful to be here. Now, if you cut someone off, in blame, in rejection, in defense, do you ever feel like, oh, it's good to be here? Even if that person disappears, do they really disappear? Or are they still in your mind and you're still arguing with them? So, how to go about it differently? The key to any lasting transformation, any true transformation, the starting point is always the same. What is it? It is the truth. We simply admit that what is true is true. This takes no special talent, no special ability, nothing. We're just going to look at what's happening in this moment. Simply, innocently. What is it? What happens when my expectations are broken like this? Well, I'm frustrated. Why are you frustrated? Because of her, because of him. Okay, because of her, because of him. Why? What is it about her and him? Well, they're just not meeting my expectations. Oh, they're not meeting your expectations. Because usually when you go out in life, everyone and every moment usually meets your expectation. Is that right? Everyone behaves exactly as you expect them to behave. Is that right? Well, no, actually, that's not right. Usually, what is our experience of life? Our experience of life is actually a surprise. That's our experience of life. Our expectations get broken every single day. With every person, if we hold on to some preconceived notion about this person, sooner or later, and multiple times, they will break it. No one ever behaves exactly as we expect them. And this is actually the beauty and the humor of being human. We go out into this world with a childlike innocence, and what does that really entail? It's that we see our thoughts in our minds, and with the innocence of a child, we believe them. With the innocence of a child, we say, oh, that's how it's going to be. And that's very beautiful and tender and dear. But unfortunately, most of our minds are not fortune tellers, at least not any good ones. So what happens is we buy into the story that's presented by our mind, a story of the future, always a story of the future that hasn't come. And we believe it, and then the moment comes that we expect, we line it up with our expectation, it's a mismatch. The world sucks. This person sucks. Life sucks. So what's really happening here? Here we are simply admitting the truth. We see what's really happening here. We've bought into an illusion. This is illusion. This is samsara. This is where we buy into a story about nothing. We make it our reality. And then when we match it up against what is truly real, and it's this very moment, what happens? Great disappointment happens. Instead of a joy, instead of the bliss that we read about, instead of oneness, love, wow, what happens instead is we close off. I can't accept this. This is a horrible reality. It does not match what I have foreseen, what I think is best for me. So, in seeing this, in exploring it in this way, we can see for ourselves what's happening. And we can tenderly turn to that child in us, to that childlike innocence. And we can be compassionate towards it. We can see that the innocence of the child buys into all of these stories and does get hurt. But as you bring your awareness to this, as you bring your compassionate awareness to it, and you land it, and you meet the child innocence, something once again transforms. In that meeting place, it melts. And what remains is once again the cosmic joke, the humor of being human, how we go about lives with a bubble of our own thoughts and images and worlds over our head. And we're relating to that bubble, and once in a while, thank God, the bubble bursts, and we see the truth, and we're scared shitless. And we try and hide and defend and build up that bubble once again, and now I can relax in my own misery. But friends, we don't have to relax in our own misery. We can gratefully accept these bursts of bubble, and we can start to learn to love reality as it is. Because what it is it is a present. It is a gift. It is a surprise. It is like a birthday surprise that's being given to you in this moment, and you don't know what's going to happen next. And yet you're always safe. You're always here. How much better can it get? Now, I won't get too much into philosophy here, because that's not what's important. What's important is for us to come into alignment with this moment in such a way that we feel it is good to be here. I'm grateful to be here. So, take this. Do this inner exploration whenever your expectations are not met. Simply watch and notice that whatever you expect will happen. Give it 5 minutes, it won't happen that way. It will be different. And each time, and this is perhaps a bit of philosophy, perhaps a bit of faith, and truly my own experience, is that each moment presents us with the very best option. It is the best of all worlds, and it is for our own best, highest, and most good. It is for our own growth and development that each moment presents itself the way that it does. But you find this out in your own experience. It is a joy to find this out. And be grateful that your expectations are broken, because it is through these breaks that the light seeps in